So, let's look at the mechanics behind ancestral trauma. At the Echoes to Essence retreat, the 31st of October till the 2nd of November. Cortisol is the body's primary stress hormone. It's released by the adrenal glands through the HPA axis, which basically stands for the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. It mobilizes energy, it sharpens focus, and it helps us to survive threat. But when trauma, especially chronic, generational, or early life trauma, becomes embedded in the nervous system, cortisol patterns can become dysregulated. This means that the body is no longer responding to present reality, but to ancestral echoes of threat stored in our biology. We may unknowingly live as if danger never ended. Epigenetic research shows that trauma experienced by one generation can alter gene expression related to cortisol receptors and stress regulation. For example, descendants of slavery or famine show altered methylene genes that control the stress response. These changes can make the HPA axis overreactive or underreactive, leading to anxiety, depression, or emotional numbness. In essence, cortisol becomes an ancestral messenger carrying the memory of survival forward through generations. Healing ancestral trauma requires reteaching the body that it is safe now. Because cortisol operates in the somatic realm, ancestral trauma cannot be healed by insight only. We must include the body in the process of remembering safely. Breathwork helps regulate the HPA axis and lowers cortisol. Grounding and movement practices retrain the nervous system to feel secure. Ceremonial or ritual work can symbolically release ancestral stress responses, transforming inherited fear into embodied trust. When we calm our own cortisol rhythms, we are repatterning the ancestral line, sending a message of peace both backwards and forward through time. Traditionally, the body's stress patterns were seen as the residue of ancestral imbalance. But by consciously soothing the body, invoking ancestral blessing, and honoring the story of survival, we can turn cortisol from a hormone of fear into a hormone of awakening, one that mobilizes us forward towards sacred action and not perpetual defense. So, essentially, cortisol sits right at the intersection of biology, emotion, and ancestral memory. Now, what is methylation? It is a biochemical process that acts like a switch or dimmer for your genes. This switching happens through epigenetic markers, one of the most important being the methyl groups, tiny molecules made of carbon and hydrogen. So when a methyl group attaches to a section of DNA, it silences or reduces the activity of that specific gene. When it's removed, that gene can be expressed more freely again. So methylation doesn't change your DNA sequence. It changes how your DNA is read and expressed. Now, when a person experiences trauma, chronic stress, or neglect, the body's stress hormones like cortisol can influence methylation patterns in the genes that regulate the HPA axis, the immune system, and emotional regulation. This means trauma can literally leave chemical marks on DNA that affect how future generations respond to stress. In other words, methylation carries emotional history in molecular form. It records what the lineage needs to survive: hunger, fear, endurance, silence, and encodes these memories so the descendants remember what was once dangerous. But as consciousness evolves, we have the power to rewrite these epigenetic stories. When we breathe differently, eat cleanly, meditate, heal, love, and forgive, we begin to remove or soften the old methyl marks. And science acknowledges this. Methylation patterns can change with environment, emotional healing, nutrition, and even thought and meditation. The body is not a prison of ancestral pain. It is a living scripture that can be rewritten through awareness and compassion. And so it would seem that ancestral trauma healing is more than hocus pocus. So join us on this magic journey of recovery. The Echoes to Essence Retreat, the 31st October to the 2nd of November at the Hangar in Haenertsburg. You may contact Louise Claassen at the details below.